Hi, I'm Tracy Koga with something short and fun. This is a Hue Soundbite.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, there you are. Okay, so first off, do I call you PRZM or Jarrell?
PRZM. Yeah, it's PRZM. Jarrell works too, whatever you want. But yeah, PRZM is PRZM. It's pronounced PRZM.
PRZM. Thank you. That was my biggest thing. Is like, oh, how does he pronounce this? And what do I call him? And everything. No. Well, welcome to Hue. And hey, it's the new norm, I guess.
I know. It's crazy times now. Yeah.
Yeah. And I confess, EDM, electronic music or whatever, is a new realm for me, but I know that it's super popular. And I know that when your publicist, Carrie, had sent out the press release, and I'm going, oh my God, he's a Winnipeg guy. This is crazy. And how big you are. You know what? Congratulations, number one.
Thank you.
But, okay, so this might be like peeling away the onion of PRZM or whatever, and what actually how you came to be where you are today. And also a lot too. It's heavy times right now.
Very much so,
and,
yes.
I want to kind of feel, I guess, your vibe, whatever, musically speaking, but also personally speaking, on how this genre of music maybe can really speak out and reach out to a lot of people, and maybe how it's changed too as well. Because I know that it's a lot like bring people together, dance, you know, celebrate, let's go crazy, party. That's all changed, right? I think.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of bookings this summer lined up, like some of my biggest bookings to date that were just totally like hit with a brick wall, you know, like it was out of left field. No one knew what was even happening for those first few months. Like, is this stuff gonna get canceled, you know? It was just a lot of looming things and a lot of, should I be canceling flights? Should I not be canceling flights? And yeah, it just all kind of hit with one big sweep. It was just like cancel. And we unfortunately might not get a summer with live music in Canada, which is really frustrating. But you know, I'm just hoping for the best. In Manitoba, we're pretty lucky right now. Things are starting to reopen. So I'm hoping that we're going to get some sort of, you know, ability to share music live at some point this year. Yeah.
I mean, it'd be so wonderful. So I guess take me back, PRZM, to how even a Winnipeg kid, I know that you weren't born here, but I guess definitely raised here on the prairies, on how you got into this genre of music. I mean, like, we're like folk, rock.
Yeah, I mean, so
songwriter.
I even have ties to that, right? So even just going back to the, you know, the word PRZM, that basically is my stage name, because my favorite album of all time, hands down, you'll never, you know, change my mind on this, is Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. That's like my all-time. You can't, like, if I'm stuck on a desert island, I only have access to one disc, Dark Side, no questions asked. So I was, you know, traditionally into, you know, classic rock, and you can't see them now, but I've got some guitar stuck up on the wall, so I was playing guitar. But basically what happened was I was in and out of bands. I couldn't really find a group of guys that wanted to commit. And then I discovered these electronic sounds and these, you know, these electronic noises being produced by some bass artists, and one notably is Skrillex. I think everyone's heard of him.
Yes.
He was kind of that guy that really, you know, made me switch lanes in that regard. So, you know, when I saw that Skrillex came from this background of rock and roll, he originally was in a band called From First to Last, and then he, you know, shifted into electronic music, and I was just like, I was amazed at these crazy sounds coming out of the speakers. I was like, wow, you know, if he can do this, I can do this, right? So I totally shifted gears. I bought, you know, my first DAW. I started dabbling and playing around with it. I was still playing guitar, so it was kind of like recording myself and just, you know, figuring out how to use these things. And then it kind of just snowballed into, you know, me DJing from there. So once I got, like, it was first production, and then I got into the DJing thing. And as I was DJing, I started buying more gear, and I upgraded my computer. I started upgrading all my software. And then I started taking it really seriously kind of like 2014. And that's when I started really putting out the music that I was making. And I think PRZM was around 2014 because I was going under a different name before. 2014, 15, somewhere in there. And I started making connections outside of Winnipeg. That was really important because it wasn't really big then. It was there, but like no one, to my knowledge at that time, I didn't really know a lot of other producers.
Right.
Obviously that's changed now. There's so many talented people in the city, and I, definitely want to show them some love later on. But yeah, as I kind of grew and started collaborating with people locally, and then collaborating with people outside of Winnipeg and growing that network, I think that big song for me was Echo, which is one of my top played ones on Spotify right now. That's kind of where things started picking up, and the PRZM brand started picking up, and I started getting noticed basically, and just kind of kept going from there.
Wow. I mean, hey, I guess it's like, anybody else's story. I mean, putting the work in and doing the hard work and due diligence. But I guess now looking at the whole music scene, PRZM, like, where do you see your genre, the electronic music, going? And maybe because you're a one-man show kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot cheaper and a lot more economic than bringing a whole crew of 50 people and having a whole stage and everything like that. And I kind of think that this might be kind of like a tipping point for this genre. What do you think?
Absolutely. So there's definitely that aspect to it, and even now that everything's like moving towards these live streams, and of course most of my peers in the producer industry were all nerds, so we hopped on that right away, and now we're all doing live streams. But even going back to that point there, absolutely, like touring as a DJ is so different than touring as a band, and a lot of my peers that are touring, they're playing shows every weekend, and some of them even have day jobs. The ability for them to just fly back and then do their day job, and then on the weekends they go out and fly and do shows. And you're right, you don't have a crew of 20 people. The bigger guys, like the big guys, they'll have like a tour manager that comes with them, but even still, that's like 2 plane tickets. That's your only cost for travel, right?
Right.
And so in terms of how this genre is growing, I've definitely seen a massive jump in how many people are enjoying electronic music. Even Summer of Sound, that festival, it's been growing from like a couple hundred to 2,000 to 3,000. I think last year they were approaching 5,000. It's just insane. You see that growth there, right? In terms of my kind of genre that I make, it's still a little bit more underground. It's not for everyone, I understand that, but I'm still happy that everyone listens to it. And I do make music all across the board, in terms of the more chill stuff and the user-friendly stuff, as I call it, or even the more underground and experimental stuff that I'm premiering now,
Yeah, well, exactly. Okay, so we'll get to it. Trenchants, like your new EP that's coming out, and it's a little darker, but I want to ask too, in this whole new bubble that we live in of isolation, I mean, I'm just thinking as an observer, you're used to that isolation when you create the music because it's all you, right? And sounds and creating. But this real isolation, has that affected you? How has that affected you? Or has it?
It has definitely made things a little easier for me, actually. There's a lot less distraction. And I was actually temporarily laid off for a little bit with this breakout, so I do have a day job as well right now. So I actually had a lot more time, and during this time I've just been creating. So this piece that I've been sitting on for quite some time now, I think Get Money and Bounce It have been done for, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months now. So I'm putting it out now, but there's just a whole whack of stuff that I'm sitting on, and I can't wait to show everyone. And I have quarantine to thank for that.
Oh, well, hey, and I hope, I want to, and hopefully you're going to share your secret, well, not all the secrets, but how you actually compose and put things together. I do want to also talk about these digital or these virtual concerts now, because you're actually going to be doing one this weekend that's local here.
Yes.
So talk
Hectic
about that.
events.
Yeah, and talk about all of the artists and how is that going to look like?
So we have some extremely talented event organizers, graphics people, DJs in the city that I love working with. These hectic event guys, they throw events locally. Of course, now they can't do that, so they've moved to the digital festival. One of the main organizers, who I'm very close with, Mac, he is a graphics wizard, and he's also a great producer and DJ as well. So I'm really excited to show everyone the stage, this virtual stage that he's prepared, because really all I was filming on was just a green screen behind me and like, you know, my decks in front of me, but he's gonna put me on like this massive virtual stage. So I'm really excited to show everyone.
Oh my goodness, it'd be like you performing in Vegas.
Yeah, basically, probably better, because it's like, yeah, it's just, you're totally submerged in it, and it's right in front of you, you know?
So how does that work? Like when I know definitely a lot about green screening, but as far as for you getting into the whole atmosphere, so you're on headset and you're actually just playing your beats, song. So
yeah, it's and you honestly, you kind of forget that you're on camera, because it's really easy to zone into the mix, especially because the way that DJs play nowadays, like this, I would call this festival style of DJing. Very quick transitions. You know, you're not playing a song for more than a minute to a minute and a half kind of thing. So you're always doing stuff. It's very easy to just get lost in that. And you'll see that when I perform, the music often takes over, my hands are moving, and I'm just bouncing around everywhere. I'm just totally 110% in it. Yeah.
So is this like a set list that you have, or is this kind of just freestyle for you, PRZM? Like when you're playing, like when you say, yeah, it's a song, a minute and a half or whatever, and is it just come quickly, or is it all set?
Great question, actually. Generally, for something like a prepared set with a prepared set time, and you know, and the fact that you want to showcase all this stuff, generally I prepare it ahead of time. I'm still mixing in real time. You know, I'm still doing what I'm supposed to be doing as a DJ. It's not like pre-recorded.
Yeah.
But I do plan my songs ahead of time, you know, roughly where I'm going to mix them in and out, the transitions that I'm planning on doing as well. There is a lot of planning ahead of time, but that's very common when it comes to, you know, this performance style. If it were more like a regular club gig, or even just opening for a local guy, if we're talking, you know, a couple months back, I would have my set list prepared, but I wouldn't go as far as planning the transitions and all that stuff. I would have a little bit more, you know, free reign. And I think as an opener, when these bigger guys are coming through, you do have to gradually build up the night. So you don't necessarily want to have something super planned just in case, you know, it's not as busy as it is, you know, you thought it was going to be then, and you kind of have to keep the vibe a little bit lower, you know?
So you really have to do, I think, be more aware of your crowd, right, in your audience, as opposed to like a band, like, sorry, I shouldn't say, but, or like an Ed Sheeran, where, you know, he's just doing his hit after hit, and they're all here to hear Ed.
Yes.
You know, you're in a club, and there's thousands of people, right, that have all different likes and dislikes, and you got to pick that up, don't you?
Yeah, and like, you can't come out of the gates hot, right?
No.
Especially when everyone, like, for example, if it's like a club night, absolutely, you have to read the crowd. You have to, you know, see who's digging this, who's tapping their toe to this, who's moving to that, you know? But if it's more like an opener, like if I'm a supporting act on someone rolling through, then you definitely, you know, have to be conscious of the energy, because it's a very slow buildup. And it's very important that you can't, you know, obviously outshine and just like, you know, totally get in there, the headliner of the evening, right? So
no, that's so true. So now if you think of it like we don't even know, and that's the really, I guess, the hard part of all of this that we're all in, is that it's the unknown. We can't say this is going to happen at this time or whatever. And what I'm thinking about is, what do you think the clubs are going to look like, and how is that going to affect you too, right? If social distancing and there's no like real dancing, or we're all just kind of like in little silos kind of going like that, it's honestly, I can't imagine it. I can't either.
It's going to be very interesting. either way, as the DJ, I'm social distancing always. I'm tucked away in the booth, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
There's no,
You're good.
I'm good. I'm happy to be doing my job, you know. But I honestly, yeah, I haven't even thought of that, to be honest. Like, I can't really picture a dance floor with people 2 meters apart, because that just doesn't feel like a dance floor to me, you know? That doesn't feel like the reason why we all congregate and rave together, you know?
Yeah, no, totally. So, I mean, thinking about that, but now I guess getting back to your new material now, you're going to be launching it. Well, I guess, yeah, you obviously launch it online, but has that changed too now, I guess, on how you reach everybody with your music, or is it the same?
I think that this digital age has been one of the best things for independent artists ever. Mm-hmm. There is so many tools out there for me to access promotion and get my music out there. Obviously, you know, you might have to pay for these things, or, you know someone who knows someone kind of thing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, distribution was the hardest part, and now it's so easy. I can pay my fee to upload it to Spotify, you know, whatever, Apple Music, all of that, upload it to SoundCloud, make a post on Instagram, tell people it's out. It's so easy now. There's no, like, you don't have to spend the thousands of dollars that people used to spend on marketing budgets, right?
Right. Yeah.
You can if you want to, and you'll have great success, but as an independent artist, it's hard, you know? So I think it's one of the best things that's ever happened to independent artists is digitally.
Yeah. Well, and on your comments too, in light of yesterday, you know, Blackout Tuesday, which was, you know, originally started by the music industry, you know, how much, or how do you, I'm going to ask you personally as an artist, how do you feel, I guess, about this, and, you know, your ability to reach a lot of people and influence them, not only through your music, but for your words?
You know, especially with my style of electronic music, the bass trap, as you would call it, is basically hip hop music, but with electronic sounds, as opposed to someone, you know, with a top line vocal over it, right? So there's so much respect that I owe, you know, to the you know, the Black community that's created this sound for me, because there's nothing more. Music is the best thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life, right? Music can teleport me back to a memory. Music can make me happy when I'm sad, and we owe a lot of it, you know, to that community. So eternally grateful. And if my music can go and make people happy, like my friend, aka Handy Ian Henderson, who I collabed on with Take My Hand, he told me the story about a guy he ran into at a music festival that we like to go to, Shambhala Music Festival. Had no idea who this guy was, became friends with him, ended up talking about music. Oh, you produce? Yeah, show me some of your stuff. Shows him the song. This is your song. He's like, what do you mean? Yeah, this is my song. He's like, this is my favorite song ever. Like, he did, like, it's just the power of music blows my mind, right? Like, how people can connect like this. So I'm so grateful that I can touch, you know, lives with my music, and people like my music, and that my music is a legacy as well. As I'm just music 110%. It's like it's through my veins. Music is in my veins. I don't know what to say, you know.
Well, you know what, I guess, and this is such I think an important time for you to have that. And you know what, I'll say that power to reach people and to touch people, because I really think that you're right. Music is a lot more powerful right now than words, because unfortunately words can be misinterpreted, obviously, now. And I think the beauty of music, and however it is too, we can all enjoy. So I'm really curious now. I want my lesson in 101 on how to create music. But yeah. So let's talk about your new music, because this is what it's all about.
Yeah, so you're in my studio right now, actually. There's a little bit of gear over here, but basically it all happens on my computer, on my MacBook. I've got like a little keyboard here. I don't know if you can see, but I, you know, will write drums and notes on here as well. Like it's all digital, right? All my synthesizers are digital. Samples have obviously been recorded to digital. So am I even able to share my screen here? Because I could even show you, I've got the project up here if you want to take a look.
Yeah, maybe try, and we'll see if my tech guy can, because otherwise right now we can't see your screen.
Share computer sound.
There we go.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
Perfect. Yeah.
Me.
welcome to Ableton. Some people says it kind of looks like a spreadsheet, and I
know. I was just gonna say, is this your Excel sheet? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So this is my basic project layout here. I tend to group things, and I guess you would call a group like also like a bus, for example, for all my audio geeks out there. So I just tend to group it by drums, vocals, all my synthesizers. I have my own section for the bass, and then the section for the kind of like effects.
Right.
So basically the song altogether sounds something like this. But I can also isolate sections for you to hear as well. So this would be just drums, and this would be adding the bass in. So yeah, walking you through it, it's not too much. I've got the kick and the clap and some drums here. Sometimes I like to use audio, sometimes I like to use MIDI for drums, depends on what it is.
So are you actually making up all of these rhythms, or is it like a program that, okay, or?
Everything where you see like one of is basically all handwritten, yeah, in a sense, yeah. So you place your drums where you want them to go.
Yeah.
You place your synthesizers where you want them to go, your vocals where you want them to go. So the vocal itself here, like the this one right here, that's a sample, but then chopped it up a little bit. This is also a sample, but as you can see, we've done quite a bit of processing here at the bottom.
Right.
So we've got some frequency shifting, some reverb, compression, phaser as well. But it's basically like a sample that we chop up. And then you kind of just manipulate the crap out of it until it sounds wonky and weird.
So I would say this is a sample of your darker music?
Yeah, this would be like, it's like you can see this vocal something, I don't know where the clip's from, but basically like you just process it, you do something again, you process it, you do something else, you process it. It's called resampling.
Right.
So you just, re-record over it and just manipulate it here and there and turn it into something that it wasn't before, basically. You have something and you turn it into something completely new.
Well,
yeah, and then there's different sections obviously as well. So like, this is like a little horn section here.
Yeah, the horn section.
And those are like the piano notes that I would be playing out, Yeah.
Wow.
Electronic Music 101.
You're like a maestro and like conducting a full-on orchestra electronically.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people don't typically get is that, we're building this from scratch, like literally from scratch. We're programming everything, and we generally start with a little 8-bar loop and then build outwards and turn it into a song.
So all of that you just showed me right now, okay, so now show me, or let's hear the finished product or like a sample of it.
Yeah, let's play the second build up and the second drop.
Bounce it on the floor. On the floor. Bounce it on the floor. Bounce it on the floor. Bounce it on the floor. on the flow.
Oh,
There you go.
I have a confession to make. When we first got onto the screen or whatever, and you did like a little sample of this, it all sounded like noise. But then when you actually broke it down for me, you know, hearing the bass or whatever and hearing all the different beats, hearing that now, it's like, I get it. I hear
Right?
it's melodic. It's like, it's not just noise. Oh, wow.
And it's a whole new element when you can like actually see it and being it broken down, and it's not,
Exactly.
it's really not me just like, you know, touching a bunch of analog machines and like, it's just all on the computer, you know, yeah.
Oh, wow. No, this is fascinating. You know, I really appreciate this, Prism. And I mean, it's like a whole, you know, new level of appreciation for what all of you do. And, you know, before we wrap or whatever, I want to just sort of touch on sort of the local music community here.
Yeah.
You're also part of a group called MAP, M-A-P.
Yes. So that's a much different vibe than the darker experimental bass music. That's more of the traditional house music that you would kind of hear.
Yeah.
But it's a little weirder than your traditional house music. It's like this new wave of tech house, it's called, which is kind of like, it's like some weird combination of techno and house music, and then just with weird wonky kind of like bleeps and bloops and computer noises. And yeah, that project started 2 years ago. Closer to 3, but like officially 2. You know, I when I first met up with Adrian and Marco, the other 2 in MAP, we kind of just got together and they wanted to learn, you know, producing. So for like the first year is basically me just showing them all this. And then a year later, we all started making stuff together. And also MAP was booked for a music festival this year that unfortunately got postponed. So,
well, maybe we can, you know, do something here locally and give all of you, you know, some sort of platform to show your stuff, because I think that we're all starving for, you know, some sort of live is what live will be in this new norm. You know, it'll be.
Yeah, you're telling me. Yeah, I can't wait.
And yeah, and can you give us the information on this festival coming up this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's Saturday, I think it's June 6th. It starts at 8 until about midnight Central Time.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Tracys Bass from Israel also happens to be playing. Yeah, we got talent from all over the world. I think there's 2 or 3 guys from Saskatchewan, and then 1 guy from BC as well. Their names, unfortunately, are escaping me right now, but I know their real names, but their stage names are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Winnipeg dudes, myself, Torn, and Noel, and then my homie Tracys Bass from Israel, and then I think Zova is one of them, ZZ, Stankface. Those are some of the other guys. We're all going to be throwing down some crazy, aggressive music, going to have a lot of fun.
How do we get the link, or where do we go online for this?
Yeah, so it's twitch.tv/hectic events.
Okay.
If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, I will be posting the link there as well. And I believe once the set airs, I'm also going to be putting it on my YouTube channel. So if you're not able to catch the live stream, you will be able to see my set with the crazy stage. Perfect.
Well, I'm going to, can you just give us your Instagram and all of that, the Facebook too? Right.
Yeah. My Instagram is @PRZM_official, so that's PRZM official. Facebook.com/itsprism. And my YouTube, I believe, is also Prism official. I think it's just, you search Prism, you can find me on YouTube. So either one of those platforms, you'll be able to find it.
All right. Well, we really appreciate it. I do so much, this opportunity to meet you. I don't think this is going to be the last time we get together, or
I hope not.
Hopefully the next time we get to see you perform live, which would be so awesome. But, you know, all the best. And, you know, I think, you know, being able to get in touch with more artists like yourself in this time is so cool. Just to see how you are, you know, check in to whatever, but also to help you get your music out, because Nobody's doing live performances right now.
I know. Well, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I had a great time. It was great to meet you, Tracy, and I hope we do cross paths down the road.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.